I tuned in for the news. I didn't know I was the headline. My name is Daniel Foster, and up until a month ago, I thought I had a decent life. Not a perfect one, but solid. I was 38, ran a mid-sized marketing firm in Chicago, and had been married to Rebecca, or Becca, as I called her, for almost 8 years. She was a freelance graphic designer, whip-smart and sarcastic in the best way. We met at a networking event where she roasted my pitch deck and then married me 2 years later. We had a small 2-bedroom apartment in Lincoln Park, a beagle named Marvin, and a weekly tradition of watching The Morning Pulse, Chicago's most popular morning show hosted by none other than the infamous Chase Dalton. Chase. Freaking Dalton. He was everything I wasn't. Slick. Tan year-round. 6'1" with the kind of jawline you only see in comic books. Always with the perfect tie knot. The kind of guy who could make a traffic update sound seductive. Women loved him. Men hated him but watched anyway. Becca used to joke about him. "Oh, Chase is such a guilty pleasure," she'd say while sipping her coffee. "His voice could get me to buy a toaster I don't even need." I'd roll my eyes and laugh. I thought it was innocent. Until one Thursday morning, everything cracked. That day, I was working from home. Becca had a client meeting across town, and Marvin had just had his walk. I made myself a cup of black coffee, booted up my laptop, and turned on the Morning Pulse, mostly for background noise. It was a typical broadcast at first. Weather, local politics, some ridiculous segment about pumpkin spice-scented masks. And then the host changed tone. Chase Dalton smiled into the camera the way only he could, like he already knew your secrets, and said, "And up next, a very special segment we've been teasing all week. A story about finding love where you least expect it, even when it's wrong. Stay tuned. This one's complicated." Something about his voice made my stomach twist. The screen cut to a pre-recorded video. There was soft music playing. Dim lighting. A camera zoomed in on 2 silhouettes sitting close at a candlelit table. One of them was Chase. The other was Becca. My Becca. She was wearing a silver dress I didn't recognize. Her hair was curled the way she only did for weddings. Her eyes sparkled, not like she was caught, but like she was lit from within. Like she was in love. I sat frozen as the segment rolled. Chase's voice narrated over footage of them sipping wine, walking down some private beach, laughing like they were high school sweethearts. When Rebecca and I met, it wasn't under the best circumstances. She was married, and I was, well, me. But sometimes the heart makes decisions the brain can't veto. I couldn't breathe. The room felt small. The walls leaned in. I could hear the hum of the refrigerator, the ticking of the wall clock, my own heartbeat, fast and sharp. They were bragging about it. On live TV. There were no disguises. No fake names. No blurred faces. It was real. Raw. Reckless. Becca never told me she was going to be on TV. She never told me she even knew him outside of her little guilty pleasure comments. And now she was his headline. I didn't move for 15 minutes after the segment ended. The silence that followed was louder than any screaming match we ever had. No betrayal note. No hidden text messages. No whispers in the night. Just a broadcasted confession. And then my phone started vibrating. Text after text after text. Marketing team group chat. Dude. WTF. Is that Becca? My brother. I just saw the segment. Call me. Please. Becca's mom. Daniel, I'm so sorry. I had no idea. Unknown number. How's it feel to get played by Chase Dalton? Grimacing face. I didn't cry. Not yet. Shock is weird like that. It numbs you so thoroughly that you forget you're supposed to feel. But deep down, in a place I didn't want to acknowledge, something inside me started to burn. It wasn't sadness. It was rage. Not because she cheated, but because she performed it. And she thought I'd be too weak to respond. She was wrong. Dead wrong. She finally called. But not to apologize. The segment ended. The screen faded to a commercial about allergy meds. I sat there staring at the TV like it owed me an explanation. But no explanation came. No knock on the door. No sudden power outage to reveal it was all a dream. Just a man, a couch, and the echo of the most humiliating betrayal ever broadcast. I must have sat there for an hour, just blinking. Marvin, our beagle, lay at my feet, occasionally raising his head to study my face. Even he knew something was off. And then my phone rang. It was her. Becca. Her name lit up on the screen like it always had. But this time, it felt like acid in my eyes. I let it ring once. Twice. I didn't want to answer. I wanted to throw the phone across the room. But part of me needed to hear what she had to say. So I answered. No hello. Just silence. I could hear her breathing. The same rhythm I'd fallen asleep to for nearly a decade. Now it just sounded foreign. Daniel, she finally said, her voice brittle. I guess you saw it. Saw it? That's what you're opening with? I asked, coldly. I guess you saw it? More silence. Then. It wasn't supposed to air like that. Chase, he wasn't supposed to use the footage. We agreed on something different. I didn't know he was going to. I cut her off. You didn't know he was going to what? Tell the truth? There it was. That tight click in her throat. The way she swallowed when she was caught. I stood up and walked to the window. The city looked the same. People were walking, cabs were honking, kids were going to school. But my world had collapsed, and nobody noticed. Becca. I need you to answer this, and don't lie. Long pause. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. Just waited. How long has this been going on? She inhaled sharply, and in that breath, I heard the truth before she said it. Almost 7 months. 7 months. Not a fling. Not a one-time lapse in judgment. A second life. I sat back down because my legs actually gave out. 7 months ago, we were planning a weekend trip to Lake Geneva. 7 months ago, she bought me a watch for our anniversary. 7 months ago, we made love and fell asleep holding hands. 7 months ago, she already belonged to someone else. Why him? I asked, my voice nearly gone. She sighed. It didn't start like that. I met him through a design project. He needed someone to do mock-ups for a new segment. We worked late. He listened. He made me feel like I mattered. Like I was seen. Seen? I was right there every damn night. I held her when she cried over lost clients. I walked Marvin so she could sleep in. I celebrated every little victory. But I guess I didn't glow on camera. You know what hurts the most? I whispered. It's not that you cheated. Not even that you filmed it. It's that you turned it into content. You fed it to the world like it was a love story, and I was just the footnote. She cried then. Softly. The kind of crying you'd expect after stubbing a toe, not destroying someone's life. I ended the call. Didn't hang up angrily. Didn't scream. Just ended it. She tried texting after that. Please, let's talk. I didn't mean for it to happen this way. You deserve more than a segment. I still care about you. I didn't respond. But I wasn't okay. I was shaking. I opened the fridge and grabbed a beer. Took 2 sips. Put it down. I didn't want to blur this. I needed clarity now more than ever. I opened my laptop. I wanted to find anything, to help me process this. And that's when I saw it. On the homepage of Channel 9 News was an extended article. Chase Dalton reveals private relationship with married woman, romantic details spark controversy. There were photos I hadn't seen before. One of them was from a cabin. A place in the woods. That's when it hit me. Last October, Becca had told me she was going to a women's retreat in Michigan. She said it was just a weekend of wine, self-care, and spa days. I even packed her bag. In one of the leaked photos, she was wearing the same flannel shirt I'd lent her for that trip. Only in this version, it was draped over Chase's shoulders, while she straddled him on a hammock. The timestamp on the image? October 14th. The night she told me she was meditating in a forest cabin with no cell service. Instead, she was busy making headlines. If the public saw what I saw next, there'd be no show left to air. I didn't sleep that night. My bed felt alien. Sheets too smooth. Pillows too hollow. Her scent still lingered, like an echo of a ghost that refused to leave. I kept staring at the ceiling, mind spiraling. How much of my life was a lie? At 3:21 a.m., I sat up, grabbed my laptop, and opened a folder I hadn't touched in over a year. Becca_design_projects. She'd asked me once to back up her work files when her hard drive crashed. I forgot I'd synced a copy to my cloud. I didn't open it out of malice, at least not at first. I just wanted context. Understanding. Anything to explain why she did this. What I found instead was a documentary. Inside the folder were subfolders. Promo drafts. Segment scripts. Raw footage, cabin trip. Chase_only. Deleted. I clicked on raw footage, cabin trip. There were 6 video files. Each labeled with a date. I picked one at random, October 15.mp4. It started normal enough. A shaky camera. Birds. Trees. A crackling fire pit. Then I saw her, Becca, sitting on a tree stump, smiling into the lens. Okay, recording. October 15th, she said, brushing her hair back. Chase and I just finished breakfast. He made French toast. With cinnamon. Like, real cinnamon, not the bottled junk. He's kind of amazing. Then she bit her lip and looked off camera. Honestly, I don't even know how to say this, but this is the happiest I've been in years. Cut. Next clip, she's in bed. Laughing. The camera shakes as Chase crawls in next to her. They kiss. It's raw. Real. Not scripted. She calls him babe. Says I love you before the clip cuts to black. I just sat there. Jaw locked. Gut twisted. This wasn't an affair. This was a relationship. A parallel life, crafted carefully. Intimately. Beautifully. Everything I thought we had, they had instead. But the worst was in the deleted folder. There were fragments, audio recordings, partial scripts, and one rough-cut video file labeled episode_prototype_final, do not send, .mp4. I clicked it. It opened with Chase sitting in a leather chair, speaking directly to the camera. This isn't just a love story. It's a truth story. About choices, pain, and freedom. Then came a montage of him and Becca at picnics, hiking, laughing in bed, her painting a crooked heart on his chest with red lipstick. But midway through, things changed. The screen faded to black. Then, the truth behind the truth. Becca appeared. Tearful. Wearing a hoodie I hadn't seen in years. There were nights I'd lay next to Daniel and feel like I was buried alive. He was always kind. Always steady. But that's just it, too steady. Too perfect. Too safe. I froze. I didn't want stability. I wanted chaos. Fire. I wanted to be seen, not preserved. Then she looked straight into the camera. So I left, even before I physically left. I emotionally exited that marriage a year ago. A year ago. That meant half of our last year together. She was pretending. Pretending to love me. Pretending to build with me. Pretending to care. This prototype video, they never aired it. Too raw. Too risky. Too revealing. But here I was, her husband, watching her confess to the world, while I was still setting the table for two. I slammed the laptop shut. Everything inside me was shaking. Anger. Sadness. Shame. But most of all, clarity. She hadn't just lied to me. She'd rewritten our entire love story and turned me into the antagonist in her documentary. I needed fresh air. I grabbed my keys, left Marvin asleep on the couch, and walked. Didn't matter where. I just walked. Through streets that felt colder now. Through parks where we once laughed. And as I walked, I remembered something. Chase had once posted on Instagram, back in January, a photo from a ski resort. It showed a woman from behind, in a red coat. I remembered Becca saying she'd gone to a client workshop in Denver that same week. Said she hated the cold. But she wore a red coat. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through her old selfies from that month. There it was. Same red coat. Same snowy railing. Same ski resort. Different man. Different life. Back home, I plugged in a hard drive I'd once used to edit her birthday video. In a folder labeled Miscellaneous Footage, I found something bizarre. Script notes, monologue night segment. It was Becca's handwriting. She'd written out a mock intro for Chase's show. And in it, she describes me. Not by name. But clearly me. He loved predictably. He kissed like a promise and smiled like a contract. I needed poetry, not a business proposal. I leaned back in my chair. That's when it hit me. This entire affair was her story. Her arc. Her transformation. I was just the exposition. She made me the villain in her fairy tale. So I picked up a camera and told the truth. It started with a single upload. A shaky, dimly lit video in my garage. No lights. No edits. No music. Just me sitting on a fold-out chair next to a toolbox, staring into my iPhone camera. Hey, I said. My name's Daniel Foster. I was married for 7 years. Until last week. Until I found out my wife was in love with a man who talks to America every Thursday night. I paused. Looked down. Breathed in. I'm not here to destroy anyone. I'm not here to scream or throw accusations. I'm here because I need to say the things she never let me say. I need to reclaim my voice. Then, I told the story. All of it. From how we met in college, to our wedding on the Oregon coast, to the slow unraveling of us, the quiet nights, the missed glances, the excuses, and finally, the show. I didn't cry. I didn't curse. I didn't even mention Chase by name. But I told the truth. I uploaded it with a simple title. What it's like to be the husband left behind. Within 6 hours, it had 4,000 views. By morning, over 1.2 million. The comments rolled in like a storm. You didn't deserve this, man. This is the most honest thing I've seen on the internet in years. You speak for so many of us. I was her. I left a good man for the spark. This made me cry. You just burned Chase alive without even naming him. Masterclass. But the most unexpected comment came from a verified account. At Alana Creed TV, senior producer for Exposure Unfiltered, a rival network. She wrote, "We'd love to hear more. Message me." Seriously. At first, I ignored it. I wasn't trying to make a career out of pain. But the messages kept coming. Podcasts, channels, editors, authors. They didn't want gossip. They wanted my version. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something I hadn't felt since the betrayal. Purpose. So I messaged Alana. We met in a cafe 3 days later. She was sharp, mid-30s, dressed in a slate gray blazer, eyes like a lie detector. I watched your whole video, she said, sliding a folder across the table. Twice. We want to offer you a platform not just for your story, but for the stories of thousands like you. I opened the folder. Inside, a proposal for a docu-series. Title: The Other Side of the Love Story. It wasn't tabloid junk. It was real. Poetic. Vulnerable. Each episode would follow a different man or woman who got left behind in someone else's fairy tale. She said, you'd be the narrator, the anchor, and in the final episode, your full story. I sat there, stunned. Not because of the offer, but because for once, I wasn't being erased. I said yes. We filmed for 4 months. I interviewed divorced fathers, ghosted girlfriends, women whose partners chose soulmates over families. Every story echoed something familiar. But the final episode, mine, was the one that lit a fire. We called it Becca and the Broadcast. The episode never said her full name. It never showed her face. But the implications were unmistakable. We aired the unaired prototype footage she made with Chase. My commentary, watching it in real time. Clips from our wedding. Our dog. Our anniversary in Tahoe. And my final monologue. We live in a world where love stories are polished and filtered. But behind every happily ever after is someone left holding the broom after the confetti falls. I was that guy. And I'm not bitter. I'm awake. The episode dropped on YouTube and Netflix. Within 24 hours, 5.8 million views. Within 72 hours, Chase Trenton's team issued a statement. And Becca? She deleted her Instagram. Removed her LinkedIn. Vanished. But it didn't feel like revenge. It felt like release. Then, 2 weeks later, I received a package. No return address. Inside, a flash drive, a yellow post-it that read, "You deserve the whole truth." I plugged it into my laptop. It was footage from the very beginning of her time with Chase. One video showed them rehearsing a segment. Becca, do you think Daniel will ever suspect anything? Chase, nah. Guys like that don't ask questions. That's why it's so easy. Another clip, her alone on a hotel balcony. Sometimes I feel like I'm in too deep. But then I imagine life without Chase, and I can't. I just can't go back to being invisible. I watched in silence. Jaw clenched. Heart steel. So it had always been about attention. Visibility. Spotlight. She didn't want me to love her quietly. She wanted an audience. So I gave her one. And ironically, it made me free. Some people don't want to be forgiven. They want to rewrite the story where they're the hero. Even if it means turning the truth into ashes. I should have known she wouldn't disappear quietly. It had been 3 weeks since the docuseries aired. My name was everywhere, Daniel Foster, the man who turned betrayal into a movement. There were TikToks, interviews, think pieces. People were quoting my lines like scripture. And just when it seemed like the world was finally letting the story rest, she showed up. At my front door. It was a Thursday morning. I just brewed coffee and was heading out to grab the mail when I saw the silver Toyota parked across the street. I didn't think anything of it until I turned back toward the house. And there she was. Becca. Wearing sunglasses, hair pulled into a clean bun, dressed like she was auditioning for Damage Control. Not crying. Not apologizing. Just composed. Like she'd rehearsed this moment. "Daniel," she said. I didn't answer. I stepped aside and let the screen door swing shut behind me. "I need to talk to you," she continued. "Just for a minute. Please." I wanted to scream. I wanted to ask her if she'd lost her damn mind. After everything. After humiliating me on national television. But something in her voice told me this wasn't about regret. It was about control. So I nodded. "You've got 5 minutes." We sat at the porch table. The same place we used to drink wine after work. Laugh about nothing. Talk about our future. She stared at her hands. "I saw the show," she finally said. No apology. No mention of the flash drive. Just, "You made me look like a monster." I leaned back in the chair, trying not to laugh. "I didn't make you anything. You were already writing that script." She looked up, sharply. "You edited that footage. You manipulated the story." I pulled out my phone. "I still have the full raw files. You want to watch them again?" She flinched. "I came here because this thing is spiraling. You don't know what it's like. I'm being harassed. I've lost brand deals. Chase is distancing himself. My agent dropped me." I sipped my coffee. "And what part of that do you think I owe you for?" She stood abruptly. "I'm going to do an interview," she said. "With Behind the Lights. I'll tell my side. And I'll say what I need to say, even if it means you get hurt in the process." There it was. The threat. I stood too, slower. "Come. You do what you need to do," I said. "Just remember something. I have the truth. All of it. And now the world is listening." 3 days later, her interview aired. A 45-minute sit-down with soft lighting, sympathetic music, and a sympathetic host. She cried. She laughed. She painted herself as a woman trapped in a marriage that suffocated her spirit. She said I was cold, emotionally absent. That she didn't cheat, she evolved. And then came the kicker. "Daniel was controlling," she said. "He monitored my phone. He didn't want me to succeed. Chase made me feel seen. He encouraged me to dream again." The comments section was brutal. Half the viewers called her brave. The other half saw through the charade. But I knew better. She wasn't trying to clear her name. She was trying to rewrite the ending. I didn't respond. Not at first. Let them talk, I thought. Let her bask in the spotlight she stole. But then a DM slid into my inbox. From Chase Trenton himself. "You and I need to talk." I didn't answer. Not right away. I wasn't ready. But then something even darker surfaced. A leaked email allegedly from Becca sent to a producer at Behind the Lights a week before my docuseries aired. "If you give me a segment, I'll bring you Daniel's footage early. I have access. I know how to play it. He's fragile, the world will side with me." She had been plotting her defense before the truth even came out. That's when it hit me. This wasn't about love. Or loss. Or truth. It was about image. She wasn't trying to find closure. She was trying to win a war of perception. So I made one more video. No edits. No drama. Just me. And the leaked email on screen. "I never wanted a battle," I said. "I just wanted peace." But when someone tries to turn the truth into a weapon, you don't run. You speak louder. I didn't call her names. I didn't threaten. I just read her email. Line by line. And I let people decide for themselves. It went viral within hours. She lost everything. Her PR team resigned. Sponsors cancelled. The Behind the Lights host deleted the interview entirely. And Chase? He never answered my message. But a week later, he posted a cryptic tweet. Some partnerships were built on ratings, not reality. Lesson learned. Some truths don't come for justice. They come to bury what's left. I thought it was over. Becca had vanished from headlines. Her followers turned cold. The world moved on. I'd started to breathe again. Sleep better. Eat again. I even began seeing someone new slowly, cautiously. And then it came. A package. No return address. Just my name. A white USB drive inside. No note. At first, I figured it was junk. Some angry fan. Maybe a scam. But curiosity gnawed at me. So I plugged it in. There was only one file. A video. Grainy. Dim lighting. A familiar background. A dressing room? Then, I saw her. Becca. Not the curated, filtered, TV-friendly version. This was different. Raw. Tired. Wired. She looked at the camera, unblinking. If you're watching this, I guess I didn't make it, she began. My heart froze. What the hell was this? This isn't an apology. God knows I've said enough words that meant nothing. But I need to explain. Because no one else will. She inhaled deeply. Daniel never abused me. Not emotionally. Not physically. In fact, he tried harder than anyone ever has. But I liked the attention. The spotlight. The thrill. Chase gave me that. He made me feel important, even when I wasn't. She paused. Looked down. But it wasn't just him. That sentence hit me like a shovel to the chest. There were others. Before Chase. After him too. I was addicted to it. The validation. The secret. The chase, no pun intended. She almost smirked, then caught herself. Daniel, you were just the one who stayed. The one who believed I could be more than I was. And I punished you for it. Silence. But you need to know something. That footage? The flash drive? I didn't send it. It wasn't me. I leaned in. What? I thought about it. But someone beat me to it. Someone who wanted you to know. Someone who, she paused. Wanted revenge. The screen flickered for a second. And then, a name. A face. Karen. My assistant. My loyal, always there, never missed a meeting, always just a text away. Karen. It cut to a new video, security footage. Dated 2 weeks before I found the flash drive. Karen. Entering my home. Alone. With her own key. I nearly dropped my phone. The woman I trusted the most, the one who consoled me after the breakup, who helped me edit the docuseries, who encouraged me to tell the world. She knew about the affair before you did, Becca's voice continued. I told her. I wanted to confess to someone. She was kind. Supportive. Said she wouldn't judge. Another video played. Karen. At a cafe. With Chase. Laughing. Smiling. Becca's voice returned. I think she wanted to ruin me. Maybe you. Maybe both. Maybe she was just jealous of us. I don't know. But she had the files before I even touched them. Another pause. Whatever her reason, she's the reason this all started. Silence. And maybe you don't believe me. Maybe I don't deserve to be believed. But the truth is, neither of us were ever really in control of the story. She looked directly into the lens. eyes hollow. It was always hers. Then, static. And the screen went black. I sat there, numb. Every moment since the docuseries. Every tear. Every victory. Every quote. All of it. Curated. Engineered. Manipulated. By Karen. I confronted her. At first, she denied everything. Then, when I showed her the USB footage, she froze. Why? I asked. She laughed, bitterly. Because you never saw me, Daniel. You saw her. Always her. Even after she crushed you. I was there. Every day. And still, you let her back in. I didn't say a word. What was left to say? She resigned the next morning. Left town. Deleted all her socials. And just like that, another ghost. Weeks passed. The press caught wind of the new twist. The world's fascination with my story rekindled, not as a betrayal tale, but as a cautionary epic. A story with too many villains and no true hero. I stopped giving interviews. Turned down a book deal. Just disappeared. But sometimes, late at night, I still open that USB file. Just to hear her voice one last time. To remind myself that truth isn't always clean. Or complete. Sometimes, it's stitched together with lies and handed to you after the fire. And sometimes, the one holding the match isn't the one you expect.